$1.5 million. Is it sufficient to retire? Well, maybe you can use a little bit of the money to buy a small house and have a little bit of surplus left for retirement. Then the next question is, retirement at what age? 55? 65? Well, today the person asking this question is asking to retire at age of 40 with $1.5 million. Wow, age of 40. So if you're also in this camp, thinking about early retirement, maybe today's discussion is going to enlighten you a little bit. So continue watching. Hi guys, welcome back. With that, let's start by surveying some answers given to this question itself. The first, going by all averages of age of 40, likely the answer is no. Really? Let's try to debunk things a bit. But of course, you need to look at how old you live to. That's correct, but we actually cannot control that also. And inflation over the years. So in the simulation, let's inflate things at 3%, which is pretty reasonable. If you have investment income or you're going to draw down this $1.5 million, always have investment rate of return. But in any case, nowadays, even if you park in fixed deposits, you do get around 3%. So assuming zero is actually not the right way to calculate things. But I've done some homework for you to show you what exactly you would need to prepare. And let's put some yardsticks down. How about that? The first we need to ask is $100 a day in retirement enough or not? Because according to OCBC's wellness survey, $100 a day is easily retirement lifestyle B. You can take occasional taxis, you can go for 3 times holidays a year. So it's actually not too shabby, and not just eating vegetable rice each day. $100 a day can give you certain quality of retirement already. I have some good news to share with you. If you do need $100 a day, $1.5 million is actually enough. As shown over here, if your goal is $100 a day, $1.28 million is actually the right figure already. $1.5 million can actually get you closer to $120 a day. This whole simulation is assuming you live to the age of 100. So again, things are very conservative already. Next answer, it all depends on your life stage, correct? Any dependents, any mortgage on that, that's true. We'll cover on that in a quick while. Any medical insurance, you do definitely need medical insurance, not just that, long-term care insurance also. Because if you are disabled, you need compensation. That's how CareShield Life was actually formulated. Any aged parents and children to support, and is your accommodation fully paid up? That's absolutely true. Then the next question is, can you survive on an average of $5,000 to $6,250 per month, as I've highlighted in blue over there? Towards the later stages, you can start spending your capital. But I guess when this $5,000 is conceived, maybe it's using 4% dividend rate from $1.5 million. You divide by 12, then that's how you get $5,000. $6,250 per month, that's using a 5% dividend yield. So I guess what this person is saying is that if you are willing to draw down your capital, not just take on dividends, then yes, you can actually spend even more than $6,250 per month with just $1.5 million. I'm still of the opinion that $6,250 is very luxurious. Right now, in my current situation, having 2 young kids, I roughly only spend around that, excluding of course income taxes. And I have a car with me and I have mortgage to pay for also. But never mind, different people have different expectations, correct? So let's survey for more answers. Not really at 1.5 million. At 5% dividend rate, that's 6,250, what we mentioned just now. Ideally, you should have 5 to 10 million to have a safer retirement. Someone rebutted that 5 to 10 million at age 40, that qualifies for lux living. Wonder how many millennials can achieve this sum today. Actually, it's only confined to a very niche group of people. 5 to 10 million at age of 40, you probably have to be a business owner who has sold up your first business, then you have a chance to hit there. Most occupations would not even get close to that based on the total income that is being drawn across the years. Then there was more to come out. With the most respect, I beg to differ. Needing an income of $120,000 annually at 5% dividend rate, that means $2.4 million invested in a fund, a bank stock, or a ETF. But first, $120,000 may suit him, but doesn't really suit everybody. That's $10,000 a month. In fact, for Singapore's median household income, it's $10,000, not a single person anyway. 2.4 million should be 20% of total portfolio to de-risk from being too concentrated. Actually, I don't quite understand that point. When we calculate total retirement needs, we should look at the entire asset base, not just the 20% that produce dividend income. If not, 80% is just compounding for no good goal actually. $120,000 annually is only $328 a day without accounting for any holidays, random costs and day-to-day processes of life, and depending on real inflation rate and cost of living raising. Inflation is something that we are all aware of, but I guess the person's opinion of inflation is pretty high. I do again suggest to inflate at 3%. If you put inflation at 10%, then God, your amount of money needed is going to be astronomical. It is really not true when you survey across retirees. The curious part, when I dug around, I realized this person actually had an opinion 1+ year back, guessing that 4 million for retirement net worth is sufficient. But right now, he's quickly inflated it to 5 to 10 million for a safer retirement. So maybe there's some lifestyle expectation inflation, which is a bit worrying. So to answer today's question, 3 key things to watch out for to know really 1.5 million is enough or not. And before I get there, let me smash the like button because it's taken our team hours to prepare this presentation for you. Check out my new ebook, 28 Days to Financial Freedom. In this book, I'll be covering key chapters on investing especially. In week 2 and week 3, I'll also be touching on retirement concepts. So again, for this limited period, look for links below. So without further ado, let me share with you these 3 key questions that need to be answered to know whether 1.5 million or a different figure is sufficient. And the first question is, where are you going to stay? Housing is very important. In fact, when we look in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, home or shelter is one of the most important foundation layers. And to put the point across, if your home is going to be in Indonesia, Malaysia or Thailand, you can kind of guess already, 1.5 million Sing dollars has a lot of mileage in these countries. There is a lot of topics on geo arbitrage. I've also done before on my second channel, Josh Tan Live, on ideas relating to staying in JB. Or is home going to be in parents' place? Now maybe if you're still staying with parents and they have a property to leave behind for you that's fully paid, then you actually have a much easier route to financial freedom. So congrats on that. But again, if it's parents' place, there can always be changes. It's not really fully within your control. Unlike if you, for example, have a fully paid home at the age of 40, which means no mortgage stress and $1.5 million. But again, fully paid home at the age of 40, I think that's actually pretty rare. And if you already have fully paid it off, you're way ahead of many of your peers. Then what about if you have a home but there's some remaining mortgage? Actually, it can still be solved. You know, just now's example whereby we assume $100 a day needed in retirement. What if we simulate from age 40 to age of 80? Yes, there's a problem if you outlive until 80 plus years old. But in this situation, you realize that if your expectations are $100 a day, you probably only need $1 million. Which means with 1.5 million, you have even 500,000 that can easily pay off the mortgage and still fulfill that retirement goal. The second question to ask is, do you have anybody that you need to provide for? Do you have elderly parents? If you do, maybe you do need to set aside a sum of money to provide for their medical emergencies. But providing for parents is not as difficult as providing for children. The reason is because parents typically want to provide as much as they can for their own children. And many a times for young parents, the road ahead before a child becomes independent is still very far. Are there university costs that you need to provide for? Is there extra tuition that you need in the next 5 to 10 years to even get your child to do well in studies first? All these costs will add up and make the 1.5 million seem very little. On the flip side, if you don't have children to provide for and your parents are self-sufficient, then all this 1.5 million for your own self definitely seems like a very generous amount. In fact, any amount is okay. If your expenses are $2,000 a month, based on the financial freedom calculation, you roughly only need $600,000 to be defined as financially free already. 1.5 million seems generous, and in any case where it's not enough, you providing for yourself, you can simply just cut back on your expenses, so not too big of a stress. The third question that we need to ask is, are you financially savvy? Judging from the question about retirement that's been asked, I think you already review how savvy the person is. For someone who is less savvy, the question will be $1.5 million at age of 40. Only variables are amount as well as age, correct? Like it's a magical number to hit and it's a yes or no. More than that, there's very little questions asked about managing big amounts of money. On the other hand, for someone who's more savvy, the question might sound a little bit different. I have net worth of $1.5 million. $500,000 is into commercial property with net cash flow of $1,500. $500,000 is into Singapore banks with dividends providing me about $1,000 per month. Lastly, $500,000 into fixed deposits right now. Should I invest this fixed deposit and where to? Now you see that in this situation, there is already some experience in managing big amounts, correct? So the focus becomes, what is it invested in? That in itself is actually more important than the actual amount. There's discussion also on diversification. There's also discussions on streams of income. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or not. Going through these questions are just as important as punching into a calculator to define how much in terms of money value you really need. As always, if you've enjoyed this discussion, smash the like button. Look for links below for my ebook 28 Days to Financial Freedom, and I'll see you in this previous tutorial. How I'll invest if I have $1 million. Take care as always, goodbye.